I'm joined today by Alex White, who represents Carers New South Wales in this initiative, and I've also got Margot Millard, who will moderate our chat and just manage some of the I guess the assistance with putting together a webinar. So thank you both for being here. Okay, and as we are meeting across New South Wales in this virtual space, each of us stands upon the lands of many different nations, and I know you'll join me in taking a moment to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the nations that we all are meeting from. I pay respect to all elders, past, present and emerging, and I acknowledge the learnings passed on of care and kinship. I extend this respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples and carers joining us today. I'm going to now hand over the presentation to Alex from Carers New South Wales, who's going to take you through our the project that she runs under the Carer Investment Program. So we thought that we would start this launch session by introducing both of the Carer Investment Programs involved in this initiative, and also we're going to also share a recording from New South Wales Communities and Justice Department, who are the funding providers for this our program. So give you a bit of an overall view of what's happening under the Carers Investment Program, and then spend some time with you explaining how the Carer Advantage webinar series is going to operate, going forward in terms of the community education we're looking to provide this way. So I'll just switch over the presentation now to Alex. I'm just going to.
Thank you. So really exciting to be here, and thank you everyone for joining us. It's been a little while in the making, so yeah, it's really nice to kick off today. So my name's Alex. Thank you, Michelle, for introducing a little about what we're doing with the with the Carer Advantage webinar series. So I'm a project officer from Carers New South Wales on the Care to Work project, for those of you who don't know. So I'll be giving an introduction to the Care to Work project. So I'll also give an outline of what we're seeking to achieve in the Care Advantage webinar series. So before this, however, I wanted to give a background into my own career journey, which I think is particularly relevant to the Care Advantage theme, where we're seeking some insights into how different individuals weave together their personal experience into their working life. So I was a young carer. My father was diagnosed with MS when I was 14, and he died when I was 23. So a very formative time of my life, and formative experience in many ways. I became really involved with his care actually in the last few years, where I took over the role of primary carer a few times to give my mum a break. So it did take me a little while to come back around to anything to do with care or caring. I was interested in travelling and exploring different cultures. I did an arts degree, completed with a major in anthropology, but I wasn't really able to turn this into anything, didn't have the application or confidence at the time to turn it into any work. So I think I was 28, I enrolled in postgrad studies in rehabilitation counselling. So for those of you who don't know, rehab counselling is all about assisting individuals back to work following injury or illness. So this has come in real handy in this current role that I'm working in. So at the same time as starting this study, however, I started working part-time as a personal carer for an agency. And it was in this role where I really started to thrive. I love the variety of the work. I love the physical nature of it and getting out in the community. I felt really privileged to be invited into people's homes, often in quite vulnerable settings. So, and I knew from this experience that I wanted to work in the community in some form or another. So after a pretty short career as a vocational counsellor in the insurance sector, I saw a role advertising with Carers New South Wales, and I applied for it using that combination of my personal, my experience in the field as a carer, and yeah, luckily I've held a few roles. It's been 7 years, and I'm feeling very, very lucky to be working for Carers New South Wales and for carers, constantly, endlessly inspired by what you do. Care to Work, is all about employment support for carers. It's the first of its kind, so it's open to carers across New South Wales, regardless of age or situation. And more intensive support is available to carers in the greatest need. So Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander carers, carers with disability, mental illness, and from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds, for example. So the overarching project goals are to build carers' capacity to participate in work of their choice, and to build relationships with employers that increase awareness of carer needs and carer strengths in the workplace. So the overarching, and also to evaluate and monitor project activities to ensure what we're doing is really meeting carers' needs. So this series is, as we've sort of led on, is focused on providing information and resources to a wider audience, hopefully, to build carers' capacity and also to increase those connections with employers through promotion and other things. So just the next slide, a brief overview of the type of support. So it really depends on your current situation. Perhaps you're in the early stages, reassessing your work options after some time out caring. Many of you registered with the program are currently studying or looking to update your skills. So with ongoing caring responsibilities, many of you wanting to retrain into something that's going to be a bit more accommodating to your caring role. So this diagram probably makes a lot of sense to most of you out there, as you know, looking at work options as carers. It's not always a straightforward process, as you know, and it can be difficult to come up with some practical and realistic solutions to juggling your various commitments. So as you can see, your own interest, skills and experience are only one factor in the mix. So with this in mind, the Care to Work intake assessment takes a holistic approach to assessing your situation and guiding you around options that may be more suitable to your current situation. Okay, so everything we do at Carers New South Wales is carer focused in the first instance. We provide support that understands the caring situation and the barriers commonly experienced by carers. So this is us drawing from that wealth of knowledge and research that's available, that exists for carers via Carers New South Wales. So we talk about carer as a group and carer as an individual. So very much acknowledging that carers are, in situations that are unique, and I work with individuals to develop their work goals, according to their individual needs. So working with carers across a range of different employment needs, not just in the caring professions. So our connections with employers to date, however, have been very much carer-led and focused in the industries and the areas of the state where the carers are located. And not surprisingly, there is a predominance of carers who end up working in the health and social care sector in some form or another. So Michelle and I believe this is, some very relevant reasons for this, namely the well-developed skills that carers tend to possess. So here I'm referring to those communication, people management skills, the resourcefulness, a resilience, and the ability to read different situations that comes with the caring role. So and it really sets carers apart, I think, in many situations. So this series is going to be focused on this and assisting carers to really hone in on their existing skills and get better at communicating their capacity and their competence to employers. So the first resource I'll actually be providing is around identifying your skills. So it's really only when you gain a coherent idea of the skills that you possess that you can tailor effective job applications and perform well in interviews. Okay, so just Yeah, I just wanted also, Michelle will be going over the skills linked to work resource, which also looks at converting caring skills into workplace skills. So, so it's a good start there. So just finally, to outline what we're hoping to achieve in this series. So again, extending our support to a wider audience of carers. So through promotion of the series, we're hoping to increase and reach hidden carers in all, different parts of the state, different situations, including carers from the most disadvantaged backgrounds. So one of the ways we're doing this is through inviting employers working with individuals from culturally and linguistically diverse backgrounds and disability organisations, for example, to register for the webinars. And usually carers are connected to these kinds of groups and organisations. So yeah, we're really hoping for some extending our support. So obviously connected to this is increasing the connections with employers simultaneously. So promoting the series and our services, we aim to connect to employers across the different industries. So we'll be inviting employers who are accredited with the Carers and Employers Network also, and providing participating carers with more information about this network. The series is an opportunity to present and promote our resources also to carers. So there's a suite of resources that go along with each of the webinar topics. I'll be providing links and information and guidance around using these resources. Peer connection and information sharing. So these are all related, obviously, between participating carers. So we're hoping that participating carers obviously return for each edition and join in the conversation and provide us with feedback as well. So Michelle will be hosting sessions mid-month and for the participating carers to apply some of the resources and learn from each other. And so last but not least, learning from carers. So as already mentioned, the Care to Work and the Care Advantage series are the first of their kind. And we see this primarily as an opportunity to learn from carers, both the guest speakers that we have following up in each of the webinars, and also the carers participating in the series. So that's you guys. We'll be requesting, ongoing feedback and evaluation. So anything's welcome. And yeah, that's actually all I've got for today. So I'll stop sharing my slides there. Sorry, I should also say, obviously my contact details. So if you don't already have them, please, if you've got any questions at any time, I'm here to help. My days are from Monday to Wednesday. Thank you.
Okay, so as Alex was saying, this is a joint initiative between TAFE and Carers New South Wales. So I just want to talk a little bit now about the TAFE side of the program. I know a lot of people that I can see in this audience are quite familiar to me, so I have kept that part of it short. However, we'll get to know each other again through the webinar series, and I'm certainly happy to take any questions about this particular program in the chat pod, and likewise I know Alex is happy to do that as well. So can't see that there is any at this stage, Margot, so I'll just move along with this presentation. Okay, so the TAFE New South Wales program is known as Carer to Career. If you are cruising the TAFE website at some stage, it is that picture of the two women in the lower right corner that you can see, and my name is Michelle Meacham. So I'll just move us along. And just to tell you a little bit about our carer story, I'm really pleased to say we've had the project in place for just over 2 years now, and over that time we've been able to grow a team from the involvement and demand for the program at TAFE. So I'm actually speaking on behalf of our whole team. We are also united by our connection and commitment to carer culture. So everybody that works in the team at TAFE has either a current caring situation or has recently been in a caring, in a carer's role, and it sort of covers, the fact that we have direct, informal lived experience, and this is a very strong theme that we want to focus on, and I guess the other part of our story is that we have also pivoted our carer stories into career opportunities. So everything that we promote within the program is also part of, our story as well. We are walking the walk and talking the talk as well. So on behalf of the team, I really look forward to the opportunity, as Alex was saying, to be able to not only link you with information, but take it a step further through this webinar series, and be able to support you through demonstration about what to actually do with this information and resource, and how you can actually use it in your own journey. So just a snapshot of what we do at Carer to Career at TAFE. So we aim to provide a one-stop shop in terms of central communication and connection at TAFE. And so for those of you that are familiar with the program, you recognise that you've come through a central registration process and you aren't being moved around people. You're largely working with the same connection point each time when you engage with our program, and so we try to reduce some of, I guess, the legwork for you in terms of navigating, an enormous organisation that has more than 1,200 qualifications available to people. So, being able to sort of cut down some of that navigation, being able to get you to that outcome quicker, and reducing, some of the the communication gaps that can often happen when you're working with large organisations. We also do provide career advice. So often people that register with the program know that they want to do something, and occasionally know that they have to do something, but don't always know what that is. So one of the things that we look at is through that unpacking of your story and listening to both your vocational and work background, as well as your lived experience, start to sort of draw some threads and themes around what it is that you might like to leverage, or that you're actually sharing with us that you want to move as far away from your home experience as possible, and you see that as much more beneficial to your well-being. So being able to connect you quickly, but also being able to help you just sort of hear and reflect back on what it is you've done and what that might look like in terms of work and study choices. We also have a program that can support you if you do want to use your live story to be able to fast track a qualification. We also work with you to put that story together and collect your evidence, and I'm really pleased to say we've got people in the group today that are testimony to that. At least one person that I can see in the group was able to achieve an entire qualification based on his lived story. So, we do assist with putting that together. It's not always easy to know which bits of information go with which units in a qualification, and that's something that we can guide you with, and again reduce the amount of time that you spend trying to put together, say, that portfolio of evidence. And last but certainly not least, and one of the most popular parts of the program, is we work with carers, listen to what they are talking about in terms of work opportunities, whether it's a need for flexibility, it's a need for innovation, whether they've identified a gap in the space that they're familiar with. We work with carers, listen to what they're saying, and from that we have been very successful in developing first of a kind courses that we at this time are reserving as first preference for carers. And so, to just give you an example of that, we have just filled one for NDIS plan management, and that will be the first time that one has rolled out. And we also are on, I think, our fourth now offering of support coordination. So again, on that NDIS side of the workspace, carers identifying the potential flexibility that sits with some of those intermediary roles. Another theme that is very popular and will be available towards the end of 2020 is peer education. So, we're listening very much to what you're saying is attractive as a work role. For many people in the webinar today, they've been doing this informally for quite some time, and so and educating the community and things like that. So we want the opportunity to validate what you're doing, build on your capacity to do that, and recognise that with national units of competence. So that's a snapshot of what we do in this program. I guess, sort of dovetailing into what Alex was saying about what we anticipate the outcomes of the Carer Advantage webinar series is to bring carers together with us, as in, being brought together, having I guess, private access to education and workforce specialists, and being able to spend time with you to actually uncover your unique assets, and how you can use that as a competitive advantage, whether your outcome is to be in employment, use that towards study and education, or use that in community life. As Alex was saying again, we have a series of targeted webinars to reach out and connect with you. We want to be able to add to that we're giving you practical information and resources, and we also want to really I guess inspire those career aspirations that you have by showing you a range of carers in really interesting roles. So each webinar we will have a segment from a carer that is in a career, and we feel really privileged that we've had some real generosity from our networks in being able to share their stories and where they're working and how they got there and so on. The other part is to strengthen the message about the value of lived experience. If I was talking to an audience from mental health, I would have no problem in, I wouldn't need to explain this in any way. Some of the other sectors that provide supports to people with diverse needs are still growing in their awareness of of the power of lived experience. And so, you know, to stay on message about that, and as many of you have shared with me, you know, when you have met somebody with lived experience that's been a service provider to you, and your family member, you've really noticed the difference of you know, the additional insight, wisdom, you know, reassurance that comes with somebody that's walked a version of your story. And yeah, to also, as Alex was saying, so for everybody that attends the webinar, when you get your copy of the recording, you'll also receive an invitation for what we're calling kind of the sandpit sessions, where the resources that we share with you in the webinar, we're also opening an opportunity for you to come and use them with us. So each time we share resources, we'll then have the fortnight later, you will be invited to the same time frame opportunity to come and, you know, try out those resources and actually get started. If you're somebody like me, you possibly have collected a lot of information and resources over your caring journey, and I have a tendency that if I don't move on those resources quite quickly, over time they kind of accumulate in a cupboard or in a file drive, and then I forget that they're actually there, and sometimes I'll even be at something else and think, oh yeah, that sounds really great, only to realise that I already actually had that resource. I just never, you know, actually opened it and things like that. So we want to actually take you from, yep, there's plenty of information and resources to share, but there's, you know, often if you don't actually dive in and start using them, they can just, you know, become sort of clutter rather than things that are actually going to help you move your journey on. So that's what we want to use those sandpit sessions for, is that the resources that we're sharing actually have a play with them, and you know, if they are really suiting what you want as an outcome, you'll have at least got that started, and that can reduce some of that, you know, I guess it can enhance motivation and also reduce some of that isolation. Am I using this properly? You know, why isn't this working the way that they said it would at the webinar and things like that? So that's the plan with those sandpit sessions. I'm going to actually now play a recording that I did with Helen McFarlane from New South Wales Communities and Justice. She's going to talk to you a bit about the New South Wales Carer Strategy, as well as the Carer Investment Program, and of which both Alex and I have projects under. So talk to you a bit about that. Welcome back, everybody. I've got the great pleasure now of introducing Helen McFarlane, who is the Manager, Strategy, Design and Stewardship Carers, Stronger Communities, Investment and Inclusion with the New South Wales Department of Community Justice. Helen's going to spend some time with us now presenting on information about supports available for carers in New South Wales, the New South Wales Carers Strategy Update, Carers Investment Program, and the intersection for carer employability. So thanks so much, Helen, for joining us today. I'll just bring your presentation up now and hand over to you.
Thanks very much, Michelle. Thanks. It's lovely to join you today at the launch of the Carers Advantage, and I hope that you're interested in the things I've got to say about the Department of Communities and Justice and support, and how we support carers in New South Wales. I'd like to start just by acknowledging the traditional owners of the lands where we're all meeting from today, and elders past, present and future. So Department of Communities and Justice was previously, we worked in what previously was the Department of Family and Community Services, and previously to that we were in ADAC, Ageing, Disability and Home Care, so that we're in a larger department now, merged with the Department of Justice to become the Department of Communities and Justice. Our role in terms of supporting carers hasn't really changed as part of any of those changes. We have an annual budget of around $5 million to support carers through our New South Wales Carers Strategy. And I just would note that our activities are around supporting all carers in New South Wales, but that the service delivery that carers receive and their recipients receive in relation to their supporting their needs is largely through the Commonwealth Government, and that includes the new National Carer Gateway services that have fully rolled out since April now, the National Disability Insurance Scheme, aged care supports. So our $5 million is to complement that. It's not focused on service delivery. I'll focus on Department of Communities and Justice, but I'll also note that we work in partnership with other agencies, in particular New South Wales Health, and Health has a number of projects and initiatives to improve the experience of carers in the health system, and they also run programs like Family and Carer Mental Health Program in New South Wales. So just a few facts and figures around carers in New South Wales. The latest ABS survey of disability, ageing and carers was released late last year, and there are 854,300 carers in New South Wales. We know that almost 80,000 of those are young people, and we know that there are carers in the labour force. A lot of carers are full-time work. A lot of carers don't work for various reasons, and 95% of part-time workers are carers. So employment, we know, is a big issue for carers, and we hear that when we are doing consultations and meeting with carers, that balancing their caring and their work is a very important part of carers' lives. I'll talk a little bit about the aspects of what we do in our portfolio in the department. So part of that relates to leading the implementation of the New South Wales Carers Recognition Act in New South Wales. So it'll be 10 years this year that we've had this legislation in New South Wales. So this act requires public and human service agencies to promote and advance the principles of the New South Wales Carers Charter. It includes the way they deliver services and the development of policies that might impact on carers. And it also covers their staff and their responsibilities to their staff who have caring responsibilities. Under the Act, the Carers Advisory Council was established, and my team in DCJ has responsibility for providing the council secretariat. The council meets regularly, including with the Minister for Disability Services, Minister Gareth Ward. Majority members of the council are carers, and they have a diversity of experience. And so that's an avenue of direct carer voice to government in New South Wales. It's looked after by my team. I'll talk now a little bit about the New South Wales Carers Strategy. We will be launching in October 2020 the next New South Wales Carers Strategy, and also the first 2-year action plan that will be delivered under that strategy. That will be building on the work of the 2014-19 previous New South Wales Carers Strategy, and it will involve partnership with a number of agencies and NGOs in New South Wales to deliver actions in support of carers in New South Wales. So we look forward to sharing that with people when it's fully launched. And as I said, it will build on the previous carers strategy. It'll cover a period of 10 years, which is very exciting, so that we'll have a commitment that long. And there will be a series of 5 2-year action plans spelled out under that strategy. We're also about to be releasing a report of a review that was done of the previous carers strategies, so that will be soon on our website. And I just note there that it's not always easy to track sort of the outcomes of sort of whole of government awareness initiatives and things to support carers, but one of those key things that we do use and we do have is the New South Wales Carers Survey that Carers New South Wales undertake. Now that survey has just closed, that latest biennial survey has recently closed, so I hope some of you are able to contribute and participate in that survey, and that's a really important piece of data with some really pertinent questions recorded and captured every 2 years to give us an indication of how carers are faring in New South Wales across a whole lot of domains. The kind of areas we'll be looking at in the New South Wales Carers Strategy include carer health and wellbeing, financial wellbeing and economic opportunities, carers' access to better information, services and supports, and recognition, respect and empowerment of carers. So they're the kind of areas we're looking at in the next carers strategy. So another important component of our work in the department is to run a small grants program called the Carers Investment Program. That program commenced from July 2018. So we invested about almost $2 million a year in innovative projects to align very jargony evidence-based outcomes that were tied to the priority areas in the previous carers strategy. TAFE's Upskilling Carers is one of the 14 projects that we initially funded, as is Carer to Work with Carers New South Wales. So it's great to see these two projects coming together in this initiative. Other projects in the CIP have been research projects, one other employment research project with the University of South Australia. And we've had a couple of really interesting Aboriginal projects and some CAL projects. So here's a little list of those. I've highlighted upskilling carers. But yeah, there's a range of initiatives, some in health. Dementia Australia have been doing virtual reality training for carers to experience what it's like to live with dementia. So it's great to be working directly with a couple of the projects at the moment on this. Once the initial projects are finished, some of those funding agreements will be ending the end of next financial year. We'll be reinvesting all of the grant funding in projects that will continue to support the objectives and focus areas of the next carer strategy. So in terms of employment and carers, our work so far has delivered, apart from the funding for the CIP projects that I just mentioned, in the previous New South Wales Carers Strategy, we developed the Carers and Employers program with support from both the state and Commonwealth governments. So it was a project with a focus on employers to really develop a network and a program for carer-friendly employers. And Carers New South Wales is delivering that now. Our department was very proud last year to become accredited at level 1 under the program, and we are committed to working towards developing towards level 2. And it's great to see more employers come on board to be employers of choice, really, for the carers who are in the workforce in New South Wales. Another project that we initiated and delivered through the first New South Wales Carers Strategy was Skills Linked to Work. So this was a carer-facing project, really, to support carers to recognise the skills that they've developed in their caring work and translate them into resume ready skills that they could, and to sort of see how they were making them job ready, really, in a sense. So to utilise those skills. So we're looking to continue to work on that, to look at how we might be able to improve and do a bit of an evaluation on skills linked to work. And it's been great to see it continue to be accessed by and used, including by Michelle and the TAFE project. So as well as working towards our next level accreditation under carers and employers, this year the department is participating as a major employer in a carer research project as well, that's run by the University of Sydney, Marion Baird at CPAR. So that's a project that will be looking at mature age workers with caring responsibilities. So it's good for the department to be able to participate in that and support the increasing research around that important issue of mature workers who also have caring responsibilities. So just to add to that, our other sort of activities to support carers in the department, we also fund Carers New South Wales for peak activities, and included in that funding is the funding for the survey and the delivery of the statewide Young Carer program as well. We provide the annual grant funding for the large number, 400 plus, of local activities that take place in Carers Week every year. And that will be happening again this year, although I think a lot of those will be potentially virtual or maybe happening a little bit after Carers Week, but hoping that carers are still able to come together to support each other and congratulate themselves for the work they do in Carers Week this year. And the other thing that we support in the department is the delivery of the New South Wales Companion Card program, which supports carers of people with a lifelong disability by providing a free ticket to affiliated events. I hope you're familiar with the program. But there's over 30,000 people with disabilities in New South Wales who have a companion card, and it's a great benefit for their carers to be able to access public transport and other events and venues. So that's just another aspect of our support for carers in New South Wales. So that's all I was going to talk about today. I've put up my contact details and I'm happy for you to contact me if you've got any questions, and also to invite you to look at the information on our website. I'll be happy to, and on the website, that is where we'll be putting the information about the New South Wales Carer Strategy when it's fully launched in October. So thanks very much for inviting me to participate today, and I hope you enjoyed today and tune into the regular sessions that TAFE and Carers New South Wales are running, because it sounds like a great innovation and something good potentially to come out of the coronavirus crisis. I hope everybody stays well. We are all working at home and continuing to work from home, I think, for the time being, keeping us off public transport and safe at home. And I hope everyone is well, and take care of yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen, and thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Michelle.
Okay, to finish off our webinar today, I'm going to set you a task. I have dropped a poll in the into the chat pod now, and hopefully this time it's giving more responses. So I just want to take you through this resource that that we're going to look at in the first sandpit session. So it's known as Skills Linked to Work. When we send you the recording, we'll also give you this hyperlink and the slides. So I've got the hyperlink sitting there in the green for those that like to do a bit of, research while they're participating in the webinar. Skills Linked to Work is a product that was developed for the Department of Communities and Justice under that Carer Investment Program. And so we, both Alex and I, have used it in our carer investment programs to support carers with being able to, I guess, unpack the skills and knowledge that they've accumulated in their caring roles. So I've just taken a snip of it there and put that into a poll. And we don't necessarily need to look at it in any great detail, but just to give you an idea. So this product is largely a self-assessment, and the self-assessment takes you through a range of tasks and activities and, as I said, skills and knowledge that are likely to have been experienced by lots of carers. So I just grabbed one of those, and you can see that on the screen about using the computer. So if you are somebody that has already completed this Skills Linked to Work, I actually want to take you into kind of the next stage of that product, because what it does is, as you go through and select the things that you have, it turns it into a document that kind of takes the form of like organising it similar to, I guess, an older style resume. And so it gives you, a document that lays out that information that you've, that you've selected about yourself. And so when I look at this one that just says about, in my caring role, I use the computer, and then it gives me a bunch of choices. What I would like to do in the next sandpit session is really pull that apart in a way that's actually going to be more successful for you in terms of, I guess, looking for employment, responding to, job vacancy advertisements, or building your profile if you're somebody that's looking at something like the e-market as a workspace, and start to sort of look at how you can make this work a bit harder for you, because as it stands right now, it is largely a self-assessment. It's not asking you for any proof about these things. And if I look at those selections and say, yeah, look, I do use the computer to locate services, and whilst that is a skill, often the job role that I'm looking at requires a lot more than just being able to sort of surf the web and locate services and things like that. So I want to really help you take that self-assessment and really contextualise it to your own experiences and stories. And then as we move along in the webinar series, I actually want that to then become that basis of what you're identifying as a work outcome for yourself, whether it's that you want to start your own business, whether you want to do some contracted work, whether you want some traditional, school-based hours work, or whatever it might be in between, but actually make this document still hold your lived skills and knowledge, but actually take that into a space where you can really put it to work for yourself. So if you have already used it, I want you to go back and retrieve it for yourself. So you will need to remember your password or reset your password to get that report. Hopefully you've already stored the report. And what I want you to do with it between now and the fortnight, in a fortnight's time, when you come to the sandpit session, is reflect on how much you've done of anything that you've ticked off, how frequently you actually do it, and how long you actually do it for. Because what I want to take you into is, if you're looking at job ads that say you need to have a minimum of 2 years experience, I want you to be able to put your 2 years of lived experience to work for yourself, not actually, be going, oh, I haven't had 2 years experience. So I want you to actually really be able to articulate that carer story that you have. If you have not used this product before and you are planning on being involved in the sandpit session, your homework, it will not take you a long time to do it. I actually want you to go and do it and generate your report so you can bring that along to your sandpit session, and start working on those things that I'm talking about. To what extent have you done it? Who have you done it with? How have you done it? And for how long have you done it? So that we can really start to formulate that lived experience story to make up part of your credentials and portfolio for either work, study, or community experiences community involvement that you want to have. So I'm going to round off our session today with, again, thanking you all for your participation. I apologise if the poll wasn't actually working for you. I will take that as my own homework to go and have a look at how I can make that work in this particular session. I think it's got to do with the way that we've set this session up, that it might not be as responsive, because it worked fine for me. So thank you very much for your participation. As I said, just remember that you are going to get an email back with today's recording, the instructions for if you're coming along to join the sandpit session in a fortnight's time. Your invitation will come to that. You don't need to go to Eventbrite, and any of the references we've made today. So if you're asking about care to work or the care to career with TAFE, we'll put those links in as well, so you can have a look at that and some of the things that Helen was talking about. And am I forgetting anything else, Alex? You might jump on if there's anything else I've forgotten.
No, Michelle, no. Yeah, just absolutely. Looking forward to the next webinar. Yeah, just that I'll be running through the developing a resume and running through some worked examples. So that's what I've got set for next webinar, and I know that you'll be obviously looking at the skills linked to work and how to complement that. Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks everyone for participating today too.
Thank you. So what we will be, our focus topic for the next webinar is actually about resume and like individual portfolio building. So each of the things that we're doing are tying in to the next theme. For the webinars, you are registering with Eventbrite to get the link. For the sandpit sessions, they will only come to you by email, so you don't need to go looking at Eventbrite. But if you're happy with what we've done today and you are keen to be involved with the other webinars, jump on Eventbrite after this if you haven't already signed up for the other ones, and we'll continue to communicate with you, and look forward to seeing you for a webinar in a month's time. And I'll look forward to seeing you at the sandpit session, with our focus on that initial lived experience resume, skills linked to work. Take care of everybody, and yep, we're dead on time. So take care, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks a lot for your time today. Bye-bye.